Hello there, everybody. What on earth is happening? We've got Rascal Jesters pulling out wins, and they're facing off against Axiz now in our match of the week. Rascal Jesters, obviously one of the teams that we thought were going to be strong coming into the split, and Axiz have really been a surprise package. So, Mabinogi, why is this going to be such a banger?
This is going to be such a banger because I know everyone wants to talk about the bot lane, and everyone already has talked about the bot lane in the sort of pre-introductions. But because I'm a contrarian, I'm going to look at the top lane and be very excited for two very new top laners. Very new top laners, both of them. But they both provide a lot to the team. Both are sort of playing facilitator for the team more than anything else. They're not the big superstar carries, but after such a performance of like Kanatu in that last game, you can't not get hyped for that sort of matchup. Top lane is a much more interesting lane anyway. Especially in the current meta where bot laners are just like Varus, Siggs, things that just sort of throw stuff from a while away. You're not really going to get anything interesting out of them until it comes to really late in the game. And that is where you're going to lean into. Sorry, I'm being talked at. Lean into the things from... Yeah, it is where you're going to lean into the bot lane carries. See Soul popping off. See Honey in particular, who is the life and soul of Axiz.
Yeah. It's the pleasures of casting at what is it, 3:30 in the morning for you right now?
It is 10 to 4.
10 to 4. Oh, lovely, excellent. But yeah, top lane definitely. I think slept on it a little bit in this match. I'd have to agree with you. I think Eno has looked better than he has previously coming into the split. Not a lot of people were too hot on him. But what I really want to talk about is Hoglet. This guy plays incredibly aggressive, and he actually does it very well. He's got one of the highest damage percentages out of any junglers, one of the highest damage per minute, one of the highest gold per minute, one of the highest vision scores per minute. Basically, any metric, this guy is very far up there. And Hachimecha plays a bit more of a passive style, so that matchup is going to be quite interesting to watch.
Yeah, he's looking at across from a jungler who gets everything. He's like one of the focuses of the team. Yeah. He's your secondary carry compared to Hachimecha, who's just your standard facilitator jungler. He's there to be a supportive character, which is what the role is meant to be. This carry jungler meta is throwing me for a loop. It's horrible. I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah. Reject carry jungle, return to only buying wards and Lizard of the Elder Stone, or whatever it was called. That was before my time. Before we pontificate any longer, let's get into the champion select and see what they're going to be picking up for both these teams. We see Axiz removing the Gwen immediately. Don't want to be giving that one over to Kanatu, enabling him anymore. And the Nocturne focused out away from Hogler, and Eno love to play aggressive on this pick.
Yeah, definitely looking to sort of take away some of these big carries, especially these jungle champs or champions that can jungle. The Nocturne, the Viego. I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see a Diana taken off the list as well. And then you're sort of looking where they want to prioritize. You're probably looking to say a Thresh should be high on the priority. I would actually that's a great ban. Ban away the Thresh. That makes any sort of hypercarry Honey wants to pick much more vulnerable. And that's really where you should be going. Except they're going to ban the Olaf. That opens it up for the side of Axiz to just pick that Thresh. That sets them up for whatever they want to play in the bot lane alongside it. You've still got a fair few amount of junglers open to take. Xin Zhao, like Diana, they can't take them both away from you, so you're more than happy to just let it happen.
And I think it's interesting, Rascal Jesters must understand really where the strong point on Axiz is, because there has been such a massive focus on the junglers. Looks like they are going to opt a bit more towards that Dino. It does enable a bit more aggressive plays. Goes back to the Xin Zhao, a bit more gank pressure early on, especially with early skirmishing. The Karma is available as well, to see if Recap wants to go towards that one, and create a really powerful mid-jungle 2v2.
Yeah, picking something like the Varus, and if you want to pair that up with like a Nautilus or a Leona, you can look to just try and bring the Xin Zhao down there as well and look to punish the 2v2 bot lane. Hoglet going to maybe look to the power of the volley bear. Maybe try and match sort of the gank pressure that the Xin Zhao is putting out. Knows he wants to sort of cover and be able to cover for Honey in that bot lane. If that's going to be, if the sort of all-in kill lane setup is what RJ is going to be going for. And if it's a Nautilus lock-in, which it probably should be, it's very good in up against the Thresh. I think that will be what Rascal Jesters should do and what they will do. Unless they decide to bite me and go for the Karma, because...
Hey man,
they hate me.
Karma's just a little bit too obnoxious. Obviously, still a flex pick. But I think Axiz have shown their hand a little bit here with this draft. It's all about Honey here. Hoglet, yeah, he can play very aggressive. He could also play a bit more of these divey tanks that still play very aggro, but are a bit more about enabling carries on your side. Honey, one of the best AD carries in the league right now, paired up with the Thresh as well. Piloting the Jinx himself will be able to output a bunch of damage. Well, meanwhile, Rascal Jester's opting a little bit more safety. I feel like more poke-style composition, reminiscent of what they actually played last game in their win against Burning Core. Bans coming through here, a bit more mid-lane focused as the Sylas and the Zoe have been removed.
Yeah, I definitely think, though, if I'm the side of Rascal Jesters, how I want to sort of try and round it out is I'd pick my support here if they're going to be banning it away. Keep that Karma in the mid lane, as you said, just buff up the Xin Zhao, make his ability to dive in and just... Because you're most likely going to be just pouring everything in to kill the Jinx. And then look to put a huge frontliner, something like a Mundo, something like a Malphite that is really hard for a Jinx to chunk through. Put that in your top lane, get whichever tank suits your matchup the best, but they decide to just pick the worst option available.
It's LJL. It's LJL.
Rascal.
Right, watch Inu pick Renekton here or something. That would just like absolutely, that would exemplify this region. Is going to be Megamin's LeBlanc here. So yeah, really empowering these two carries for Axiz.
Yeah, if you're sort of guessing that Karma is your opponent, the LeBlanc getting basically a free lane to just get out onto the map, roam around, and be that menace is absolutely a perfect pickup for Axiz. And they go for the Mundo. They are now basically... They have such a strong front line for the Jinx to hide behind. They have the Thresh for repositioning, and they have a LeBlanc to just cause mayhem and mischief on the backline and harass forever. It's actually a really nice draft from Axiz, and Rascal Jesters... I know it's not going to be a Seraphine. I know it's not.
Did you expect it to be a Lissandra?
Can't say I did, because well, it will be a Karma support, which is fine. It's an interesting choice. It's bold.
And brash?
I mean, look, it's fine. You're gonna have a lot of lane priority and lane pressure, but if a hook lands, if a volley bear is able to close the gap, someone is just dead. Just no ifs and or buts. It's just a dead person in the bot lane. So it's come into a Rascal Jesters, instead of being able to set up a very strong sort of composition that is good at all stages of the game, then looking more and more into sort of having to roll on an early snowball. Because as the game progresses, it's just going to favor Axiz more and more.
Yeah. And I think Lissandra is a champion that can do that. Obviously, it exists as a very traditional counter pick to the LeBlanc. Recap going to be piloting that one. And I think if she's able to get on top of Honey in like a dive in the early game, you can definitely put this Jinx far enough behind that she isn't really able to impact the game as much as she wants. But like you mentioned, you are still on that timer. If you let a few more items get on top of that AD carry, can just start running through you, resetting through team fights, basically 1v9.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's not as much all on Honey because the LeBlanc is, of course, a terror. The damage numbers will probably be aggressively Honey weighted because of the nature of the champions, but it's just going to be all in on this early game for Rascal Jesters, and that is the main thing. It's going to have to see, can we make this Gnar pick worthwhile? He's going to have a lot of harass up into the Mundo. Can they get things rolling with the early strength of the Xin Zhao? Because Gnar's going to become an alt bot who's only a champion half the time. The Xin Zhao is going to become half a champion. Same with Lissandra, really just a CC alt bot. And then you're just stuck with a Varus with not a ton of peel to work with, and a Mundo just sort of walking at him going, go ahead, stop me.
Yeah, Eno will probably go as he pleases this game, as we're going on to the Rift right now for Axiz against Rascal Jesters, our match of the week between one of the pre-split favourites and a team which has been full of surprises thus far. Tell me, Mabinogi, if we're looking at what these junglers sort of want to be throwing their early attention, are there any lanes that are catching your eye?
Bot lane. It's always bot lane.
Yeah.
It's got to be bot lane. Because you can try and put a Mundo behind, but he is Mundo, and he will just Mundo his way into the game regardless of what you do. Jinx, however, requires a lot more gold. If Jinx cannot get that gold, Jinx becomes a little bit less useful than, well, yeah, I don't know. She's not very good. She's not very useful if she can't really get that gold, get those items, and start putting out the damage. And that is the core of what Axiz wants to do. So if you're Hakameka, you're trying to get your way down there. If you're Hoglet, you're trying to stop Hakameka from getting his way down there. / you're trying to accelerate your Honey. And you want that to happen. So there's going to be a lot of focus down to the spot lane. And you can tell that by the fact that both these junglers have started on the top side of the map. They are matching each other. Hoglet, he's doing a little cheeky, but Recap has just completely foiled him by going for that ward. But they will now know that he's not where he's meant to be. They know he's going for something cheeky, so he just levels up that E and flies away.
Yeah, glacial path, and you're out, nice and easy. That felt like a sort of like an accidentally avoids him when he's trying to go for the cheese gank there. That's a little bit.
He's like, just like, all right, I'm gonna put this ordinary ward down to spot the jungle path, and then it's like, hang on, he's not here.
He's not
Where's
here.
he gone?
My plan has been foiled. It's something that, like, I don't know, like Shaggy Doo or something, or Scooby Doo would do. Like, they take the mask off the villain and they just, like, put it back. That's what that felt like there. As we have a look at Blitzcrank Bot. He's a soft Axiz fan, not going particularly favorably in either direction, but I imagine then, yeah, he is going to be basing that on the early game strength of Rascal Jesters. That's a hook landing here onto Hatcher Metro, who's been caught out, flayed back, fails the flash, and that kill goes over to Hoglet. A big early game advantage for Axiz.
Yeah, huge advantage just taken by Axiz. Very aggressive by Hakameka, just getting completely caught out. The hook comes through, and then he's sectioned off by those chompers, and it's just free gold into the pockets of Axiz. And now they're just being a little bit more careful. If that hook landed, that was definitely a dead soul, but
yeah, I was ready for Noah to connect on that one, as we are going to be jumping into the replay, and it feels like it's just a case of right place, right time for Hoglet here. Comes around, the hook is beautiful, and then there's nowhere really for Hatchemetcha to go. Fails the flash for good measure, but it's a nice early advantage. We're going to have to see if Hoglet's able to snowball that any further.
Yeah, and it's super crucial for Hoglet because that whole kerfuffle in the mid lane meant he was so far behind on tempo compared to Hakameka. He was just lucky to be at his Krugs at that time, and that Hakameka had overreached to try and catch onto Nema. It meant that once he was cut off by those chompers, he just had nowhere to go. He could have flashed earlier, I suppose, but decided not to. And it just results in first blood onto Hoglet. He's now comfortably ahead of the Jin Zhao. And now what's Xin gonna do? Not a lot. He just has to try and look for more opportunities, but there's not a ton of setup except maybe around this Lissandra, who is currently not getting the shove in the mid lane against the LeBlanc. So can't really team up for a play. Maybe you can look for a attempt onto the LeBlanc, but missing your flash where LeBlanc is just untouched. It's probably going to be extremely hard to kill it, even with the lockup of a Lissandra.
Yeah. It's going to feel bad, regardless, as Hoglet not spotted on vision there, making his way towards this bot side. Nema does have access to that dark passage. Are still flashes on both members of Rascal Jester, so Axiz decide to not pull the trigger just yet. But Hoglet still moving around this bot side. Hachimecha is just going to be recalling here. Could potentially go for a dive if he wants to, but just going to go on a little bit of a trip around the river and clear out this control ward.
And knowing that there's not really anyone in that side, plus there's just the shove in both these lanes, means that's going to be an easy dragon pickup. They smelt it. They smelt him. They smelt the karma coming, and the karma is coming back for more. But come on, guys, just take the dragon. Just take the dragon. Just take it. Take it.
They're not listening to you, man. They're not listening to you. It's honestly incredibly rude of them.
What's Japanese? What's the Japanese word for take it? Take the bloody dragon.
I have no idea.
Well, maybe
I will surprise you.
It was
a
shot. It was just a shot in the dark. I actually
don't know Japanese.
I
think a few people do. I know Sam knows. Well, Sam lived in Japan for a bit, so.
Yeah, I know a few people that do as well. It's just, maybe if I could tell them in Japanese, they'll start listening to me. That's
a fairly good call, as Kanato's going forward onto Inu. Pops the Gnar as well. It's a lot of damage already being done for the Mundo, but he can just pull back half of his health bar immediately. Trading favorably onto the Mega Gnar right now, who lands the wallop. Hachimecha is in the area. The flashback as Inu forced to flash away himself. Hachimecha looking for a couple more hits, but will not find it. Just a trade of flashes in the top laners. Here comes the Super Mega Death Rocket, and it connects! Massive kill for Honey.
Yeah, that's huge. I forgot what team the Jinx was on. I was like, oh, that's not going to hit the Mundo. It's fine. It's not for the Mundo. It's for the Gnar, rather. And it's a beautiful pickup. And it's just a small mistake from Kanatu, completely throwing it away. Wasn't able to step on the canister. So Ino just gets so much health back, as you can see here. Like, pops the passive and then drops the thing, but he kites himself back. Just out of habit. You do that in nearly every other matchup, but if he just walked forward to pop the canister, maybe he wins that 1v1, gets the solo kill, but can't get it, and then Honey just... The snipe. Just
this is sweet. This is sweet. Boom. I like the Ino there. He made sure to connect with the Q so that the cannon minion didn't get stolen away. I think that was a really heads up play. Like, he understands top lane.
Yeah.
As Nem roaming forward, and Axiz looking to start up this Herald as well.
Yeah, getting the roam out of the support, very, very good, very, very effective. The bot lane is in a decent position that there's not going to be too much ability to trade back and take, say, free turrets off the free turret plates off the roam, and it's just going to be a free objective coming on through this pressure that has been taken from the top on the top side, thanks to that rocket from Honey earlier. RJ is actually going to respond very, very well by picking up this dragon. That's what you want. The extra stats like AD and AP on your comp is very important, but because as we said, you kind of need to snowball this composition to really have a good chance of winning, and it's not happening for you right now. You're currently down 500 gold, you're down 2 kills, and both of them have been involved with the Jinx, so Jinx looking very happy right now.
Yeah. So you talk about snowballing. Is that a situation where maybe you'd want to go for this Herald if you're Rascal Jesters instead of for the Drake?
It is a risk. rather risky maneuver, and they hadn't assigned their lanes properly, so this was the correct move. They needed to be a little bit more proactive at like moving the bot lane up to contest, try and get your Varus there before the Jinx arrives. But they were just much more committed to getting Varus the farm and the bot wave, so it's all good, but that's
a lovely hook from Namaron. Honey picks up his second kill of the game with another super mega death rocket, 100% hit rate.
And that's what we said in draft. If a hook lands, if a Volibear gets close, that is a dead someone in the bot lane, and it just happens to be Secret again. Well, not again this game, but after last game, he was dying a lot, so Secret again. And it's a free turret. It's a free turret plate. It's a very early ultimate from Hoglet.
Well, it's a double TP from Rascal Jesters. Kanatu trying to chase down onto Hoglet. The Glacier Path comes out. That's the Ring of Frost, the Frozen Tomb onto himself. No one's died just yet. The Gnar is good. Lands onto the Warrior, takes him out. But that's Soul falling on the backside. And Axiz, they're going in for this fight. Rascal Jesters may have overextended. Honey is still alive, dealing the damage as Kanatu will drop as well. It's a 3v2, and Axiz are looking to continue it. The chains land onto Hachimetra, and he will fall as well. It's another kill for Megamin, and Rascal Jesters tried to make the play, but Axiz turned it right back around.
They tried so hard, and they overcommitted. The play was far too telegraphed. They couldn't do anything. The Secret was not part of the play at all, really, and it just meant that everything just fell apart. They weren't able to lock down the Jinx is the most crucial part. So this is the first one. Just envision back where he's backing. That's actually unfortunate. Secret knew exactly. They knew exactly where he was the whole time, and I think we're just gonna go through the whole thing. Yeah, they get the dive soul. No, they don't. They don't have a soul. But yeah, like it's so obvious what they're going to do, and then just the front line, the denial from Nemo is just so good. Honey's untouched. That's the main thing. Honey is just able to blow up Soul, stay alive for so long. And here, I guess Hachimetra probably should have just committed to diving under the turret and finishing off Honey, and you maybe turn that fight somewhat. You at least get a shutdown onto Honey, but as it is, Honey's just on the backline like, wait, all right, I can just free hit from back here with my rockets. And now they've got a completed Mythic, they've got tier 2 boots, they're going to get a Rift Herald drop as well. This is going to be such an accelerated Jinx. There's nothing that Rascal Justice can really do. They're going to have to commit so much to try and shut her down, but she's just so far ahead.
Oh, that's 1,500 gold ahead. I feel kind of bad for Soul here. I don't think he's done anything particularly wrong in the laning phase, but when your team calls for a play and it doesn't quite work out, or you end up with the Jinx and actually Megamin's Labont picking up so much gold, it'll feel really bad for you. As we're looking at the Anathema's chains on Inu, I'm assuming he's placed that on Kinatu for now, but we'll have to hopefully the observers will be checking on where that is for the rest of the game. As it stands right now, very big goldie for Axiz, and once again it's on Kanatu. Once again, it's Rascal Jesters sort of not playing the early game correctly.
Yeah, they just overcommitted to that dive, and that has blown it open. But it's just lots of small mistakes. It's the mistake from Hachimetra that sort of helped Hoglet get back into the game, that helped give Honey that small advantage. It's the indecisiveness around where they really wanted to go, and then overcommittal onto a really bad, really telegraphed play that honestly it could have worked, but they were just sort of outplayed at every turn, and it's just meant so much extra gold into Honey. As we keep saying, this Jinx is the crux of Axiz, and Axiz is loving it right now because he's so far ahead. And Megamin's not like, and it's not like at the cost of anything either. Megamin's just happily sitting on like 2-0 and 2. Ino's just happy in the top lane, having survived that. It's just got that Mundo swagger.
He's just chilling as Megamin goes for an aggressive trade on to recap, and the Lissandra pick hasn't really done anything. Yes, made that TP play, CC'd a couple people, got a couple kills, but didn't really generate anything particularly amazing for his team. I do just want to say, if there is an AD carry in the league that would be able to match up against Honey as he is right now, it is Soul. This guy is incredibly proficient on basically everything that he plays, but his Varus is terrifying. Drake is on the map, and Axiz looking to start this one up, and Rascal Jester's not too keen to contest this.
Yeah, and he can probably, if he's lucky, he can try and find some good deep hooks and pick off and onto Honey, but Honey's positioning is actually just really nice as I'm interrupting a team fight.
Yeah, that's the dive back in from Hoglet. Recap is going to be falling as well, but the excited Jinx is doing as much damage as he can, and Soul is going forward. The fail flash from Honey. And that's a cast of blessing as Soul cleans up the team fight.
Yeah, Soul just pops off there. Honey was actually relatively untouched, but it didn't matter because the team fell down around her, around this Jinx. And let's go into the replay. Now I can actually, now I'm meant to talk. And it's just over aggression from Nemo. They got very, very confident and couldn't actually find anyone. There's just picks onto Recap, able to keep themselves alive for such a long time with the ultimate. Hakameka getting away on the skin of their teeth, and that looked kind of scuffed from that arrow, but we'll take those if you're asking.
We'll take it. And yeah. Soul is also quite good at ADC, and I'd imagine at this point now, in terms of item effectiveness, definitely more useful than the Jinx. Yes, she's slightly ahead, or she was slightly ahead, but she's still a scaling ADC. Look at that. The gold is basically dead even between these guys. There is nothing in it right now between the Jinx and the Varus.
Yeah, no, there's like barely any lead, and it's all in that top lane. It's all in the Mundo, so it's actually just really, it's a huge comeback for Rascal Jesters. They're actually more than comfortable right now. I mean, granted, you do still want to be trying to get your thing ahead because, as you said, item breakpoints do favor them right now compared to later on in the game. But you've got one item on Soul compared to one item on Honey, and you're just going to be able to do so much more effective damage. But there's not really a lot that Rascal Jester seems to be playing for. They're not sure where they want to go.
Well, Hoglet wants to go up into the top lane, and Recap wants to swiftly be leaving as the bear is running forward. That's a nice stun coming through. As Hoglet takes a fair bit of damage, but Recap recognizes that he can't push any further forward. That's going to be all the outer towers dropping in favor of Axiz, so still making plays around the map, even if the team fights haven't looked as good.
Yeah, and we're seeing sort of side lane domination come through from Axiz, and more to the fact jungle domination, because Hakameka, he's been extremely quiet. He hasn't been really impacting these lanes, whereas Hoglet, he's making himself known. He's fallen quite far down in terms of CS, but he just shows up to the top lane, says, "Oi, go away." Lissandra obliges, and then Megaman gets turret. It's the wonders of jungle pressure.
Yeah. As we are now going to be seeing another wonderful thing, and it's bot lane swapping into mid lane to just collect waves for 3. The only outer tower remaining in a side lane is that top lane for Axiz, and it doesn't look like any team's going to be able to grab it anytime soon. And Mabinogi, obviously, if you could just explain what's being written here, that would be wonderful, as Hoglet is forced to run away. But I think we're just talking about how good Anathema's chains are.
Yeah, well, it's a brand new item. It gives you a 30% damage reduction against whoever you target. Well, rather they deal 30% damage. Yeah, no, bad I said was correct. I just forgot how English works. And then once it charges up and hits max stacks, if you're in range, they get 30% reduced tenacities, which means that they are just going to be CC'd forever. Fun fact, if you build it on Morgana, the root can last longer than the cooldown on your Q, so you can root them forever.
That's not a fun fact.
That's fun if you're Morgana.
It's not fun if you're anyone else in that game.
Yes, true, but hey, at least you can only do it to one person at a time, unless everyone on your team builds a Anathema's chain to chain the different person, and then you can actually do that to all 5 members. But somehow I don't think that's particularly effective.
That's a Vanderall video, right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, that would be disgusting. I wouldn't want to play against that. As both these teams now converging a bit more towards the mid lane as Kanatu is stepping very far forward. That's a lovely hook landing from Nama as Hachimetra is forced to burn the Crescent Guard, flashing forward onto Secret, drops the Stormbringer as well. The Karma is down to 4 HP. Finally, a rocket goes wide from Honey as the Volibear will be falling as well. Recap going onto the back line as Eno is arriving from the wrong side of the fight. Mundo may go where he pleases, but he might want to get out of there as Rascal Jesters have won the fight and they look to take over this dragon.
Yeah, it's gonna be a dragon for mid lane tower because there is that inside track. They're gonna pick that up for free. They're gonna rotate away. So it's a small trade in the end. Like only Hoglet. Sorry, too much. Wow, Hoglet going down, and it's fine. Everything's fine. It's such a good hook. Nemo is having a great time on this Thresh, but yeah, they overcommit for Secret, can't quite finish him off, and the turnaround is great from Rascal Jesters. It's also a very good call from Axiz to know, yep, we've lost this situation. We just need to back off and trade. That's what they do, and it comes out pretty even because it's just an Ocean Soul, Ocean Dragon rather. A singular Ocean Dragon is garbage. It doesn't do anything.
It makes the riff look a bit sort of like monsoony. It spruces that up a little bit. You get a little bit more like bushes and stuff. It's cool. It's cool. I just briefly want to mention Honey's Gale Force in that fight was insane. It stopped Recap from being able to get the ultimate onto him. As we look at that gold graph, yeah, that's an LJL gold graph right there.
Yeah, that's about right. Welcome to the roller coaster. I hope you enjoy it. Sam, you must be this tall to ride. Luckily, you're in Japan, so the height requirement isn't very big. I don't know why I made that joke. But Honey is just nerfing it with these Gale Forces.
What? Okay, Inu moving forward onto Kanatu's just going to be able to crunch himself away. Secret is backing off. Honey will be picking up this red buff. Interesting to see he has gone towards that Gale Force and Rapid Fire combo. I've seen a couple of people go for this on hyper carries. It does give you a lot more safety, and that's pretty important when you're matching up against a Nara and Lissandra.
Yeah, definitely lots of safety is extremely good. Just the ability to try and slip away from these fights, from the CC that is going to be dropped down by this solo side laners. Solo laners, that is the word I wanted. Solo laners from Rascal Jester. But there's a bit, and the focus is definitely more towards the top side. Focus is up around this Baron. There's pretty good deep vision up towards that top side, really covering Megumin in the lane.
Yep.
But as it comes in, they haven't been able to sort of ward off like the entrances to the jungle around the red buff, so they can't feel confident to start off the Baron at all because they can't see the entrances. They cannot see where the Xin Zhao is approaching from, and they have to be that is very, very much a danger because there's a lot of poke that can come in over the wall. There's a lot of lockdown, so if they misposition at all and don't keep track of anyone while starting that Baron to get locked in, it can backfire horribly. But by the same token, Rascal Justice doesn't really want to start that up either because the AoE damage is filthy on the side of Axiz.
Yeah. And just in terms of your raw DPS to it, this is a poke Paris, so not really going to be the highest. As I feel like these ADCs are in a little bit of a battle right now to see who can complete that third item sooner. Honey will just be taking his back right now. Probably going to be picking up the Infinity Edge there, and I imagine that the Muramana for Soul isn't too far away either. If we look more generally itemization as well. We're starting to see that coming through in earnest. Everyone's got their mythics completed, apart from Eno, who's actually opted for this 0 mythic build on the Mundo, prioritizing a bit more of that flat health.
It's very interesting. It's going to give him a lot of the. It's going to give him pretty good side lane presence, as he can just take small trades back off, regen, be more than comfortable. Especially if that chain is still down onto the Gnar, he will just win these trades pretty much guaranteed. But it does mean if it comes to the team fight, he's still going to be very squishy. He's not going to have any resistances built up. He's only got a little bit of armor off the Ninja Tabi. But
oh, Kinatu just able to hop himself away. Hoglet is actually taking a fair bit of damage whenever he goes for these aggressive plays. Trying to steal away this blue buff. Not sure who that went over to, but Volibear on 50% HP.
Yeah, Sol manages to steal the blue buff with a sneaky arrow, but there's the positioning is great for. Oh.
Ooh, Megaman. That was a lot of damage onto Secret, who's going to be forced back. That's a super mega death rocket from downtown as the fight begins. Hatchmetra right on the front line. Got that Sterix pop, got that Crescent card, not taking too much damage. Goes into the zone. Just another hook is landing as Honey is on the backside, fighting up against Soul. Gets the kill with ease, and now the fight is all Axiz. Megaman duking from the side as Eno goes where he pleases, running forward. The flash hook! Oh my god, never can you please miss one! What a fight for Axiz! They clean up and get the ace.
How do they keep finding these skill shots? The rocket to start it off, that hook to end it. And it's gonna be an easy Baron. It's a 2 for 5. It's an ace. They can get the Baron, they can rotate into the Dragon easily afterwards. There's just so beautifully played by Axiz. And with this Baron, there's still a lot of standing gold on the map. Secret, you can poke your head in there, but you be careful, buddy. Be careful, buddy. There's a whole block.
Oh my god, I cannot wait for the replay. This is the blue steel, and then this is just going to be an Emma montage, honestly. It's hook after hook in the team fight. Honestly, insane.
It starts off with just like so much burst and poke damage coming down. Starts off with the rocket. They land the rocket and they know we can win. We can get this. We land this hook. We follow up on it because we know it's a 4v5. Honey is on the back line, just pumping out rockets. And then he decides to go into the 1v1 with Sol, but the follow-up hook, so much from Nemo, just beautifully playing this, and then it's all comes down to this. They're like, all right, we're good. We're walking away. Just everyone go away. Max range hook onto the Xin Zhao. Follows it up, picks up recap with the flay as well. That is just insane.
Yeah, it's Baron over to Axiz as we jump back into lives. Another hook is landing onto Kinatu. I'm getting deja vu. This would be Ocean Soul point for Rascal Jesters, but Axiz, they don't need to take this fight if they're going to be falling down. Recap hits Megaman onto the backside as more poke is going onto the Varus, and he is dealing out, not having a fun time at all. It does go the way of Rascal Jesters, but Eno doesn't want any of that. We'll just force them away, so it's a small victory, but Rascal Jesters have given up their mid-priority, and Axiz could look to take some towers.
Yeah, that's the play from Axiz. They're just sending Eno to make sure they can't really back off and respond comfortably, but they've taken that mid lane Eno. They can push through with the Baron, and they've set it up nicely that they're going to pick up this bot lane instead. They decide not to go for the risk on the inhibitor. They're going to pick up just more gold. They lose the dragon, which is a shame. They can't get the fight, but they are just going to take this turret easily. You've got Eno. He's got so much health now that he's completed his mythic, and he's just gonna regen that back. He doesn't care. He decides to punch a tower with his head. That's all he wants to do.
Sometimes you have just got to do that. Just bashing your head against a wall. It'll feel good. But yeah. Rascal Jesters, this gives them an out. Yes, they are far behind. Yes, they are getting outscaled. But Ocean Drake Soul is a win condition in a lot of scenarios, especially when you're on a poke-based composition with this Varus ADC. As Megamin looking for recap will interrupt the recall. One more hit will do it, but the Frozen Tomb goes down just in time, and LeBlanc doesn't quite find the kill.
Yeah,
Oh,
looks
no.
like
Wait.
the body block from Secret, just nice. Very, very, very well placed. Karma just to keep his Lassans alive. But yeah, recap caught sharpened, it looked like, because there was a lot of time to react that he just didn't even notice Megamin. But that explosion of damage coming out from the LeBlanc, it's insane. Any other champion, that's a death. That's a free kill.
But
And
crucially, it was not.
Crucially, it was not, but it does mean that they have been able to get this wave priority, get it in. Recap is actually hiding out in the bush. Just like a rocket and a sigil of malice is enough to do about a third of her health, which is kind of a lot for not a lot.
We see Eno is going as he pleases right now. He is nowhere near this.
Really is.
He's just chilling, man. He's doing some business in the mid lane, farming up some minions, whacking them with his suitcase. He's loving life.
Yeah, he works at the business factory. He's having a great time. He had a meeting.
What was it about?
Business.
You
Money.
know, I've had several business meetings about money in my time.
Yes. You see, the shareholders weren't sharing. They were holding too much. It was very
too many shares. Oh,
just weren't sharing enough. That's how it is. So that's why Mundo had to go down and sort it all out.
Oh. Well, that's good of him. That's good of him. It's nice that he's done that. Axiz weren't able to take any of the base structures with that Baron push, that purple objective spawning in a minute, and Ocean Soul potentially on the table for Rascal Jesters in a minute and a half as well. Axiz will not want to give that one over, which is why they're walking through this bot side jungle and clearing out some vision.
Yeah, and they've been a little bit slax with their dragon vision so far, which they've been fine to give Rascal Jesters these like decent positioning over the objectives. They care mostly for the fight, as we said, and not quite enough damage. Didn't get quite enough travel time.
That's a normal amount of damage that Honey's doing there. Megamin as well, basically taking 70% of Achimecha's health bar through the Sterix as well, I might add. So
Yeah,
he's really not having a fun time on the Xin Zhao. 5-3-1, had a good performance in the early game, but doesn't really have the same level of impact when you're 30 minutes in as Honey. Maybe getting caught out here, but with the piercing arrow not landing, could just back away. Lifesteal up off this wave. Ocean Drake is in a 30 seconds time. And Rascal Jesters, they are nowhere near this one.
Yeah, there's a good amount of darkness around this dragon as well, so they can poke in, can Rascal Jester, so it's not the worst. They don't have anyone really ready to face check except Kanatu, who's actually quite close to his Mega Gnar. Dragon is up now.
Megamin is forced back here, does have the teleport, so we'll be able to rejoin the fight on full HP, but there is a momentary numbers advantage for Rascal Jesters. What are they going to do with this one? They're just positioning around the mid lane mostly. And they haven't really been able to exert themselves as, oh my god, it's a hook landing, Hatchmaker taken low. Never going directly into the backside is going to be forced to Zhonya's as Honey can't get into the fight. Soul is doing a load of DPS. Eno is going where he pleases, but another hook is landing. The Super Mega Death Ray is back. It's combined with the distortion. That's a wonderful Gnar from Kanatu, but it might not be enough. The damage just isn't there. Recap going into the backside. Rascal Jesters are winning out the fight so far, but Honey will clean it up. It's a 2-for-2, 3 versus 3, as Secret is falling down. And Honey's going to pick up the kill and this Ocean Drake.
And it was very good from Rascal Jesters. They are able to get the inside track onto the mid lane. Kanatu making good use of his life after the fight. But Axiz, they win it. They pick up the dragon. They deny the soul. That is the crucial aspect. But this is about as good a fight as Rascal Jesters are going to get. it starts off with a great hook, but like Nemo is so far committed, and look at how much time Honey just spends wandering around doing absolutely no
Oh,
damage. But these hooks from Nemo, man,
they're not
these are
balanced.
point and click. These are point and click. They go through minis, they go through other champions. They are just filthy. And Honey is able to pop off right at the end, right when they need him, and save the fight. That Gale Force getting him that distance to close onto Secret.
But crucially now, Axiz were able to deny. Oh my,
Look
that
at that!
that is not a balanced damage graph. And recap as well. Props to him doing 9k. Yes, Rascal Jester's lost the fight, but it's not from a lack of trying, desperately attempting to do things. And if Soul doesn't get hooked in the middle of that body of people, then maybe Rascal Jesters do take that fight and they pick up the Ocean Drake. But as it stands, Axiz were able to take it, and yeah, there's no real contest going to be available. This is going to be their second Baron of the game, and they're going to be trying to take down the base with this.
It's quite interesting that they felt they couldn't even sort of poke their heads in to sort of maybe attempt to steal, maybe sort of force a response from Axis to sort of slow down the Baron so you can set up your waves a little bit better, because they knew full well that it was happening. They had the Rift Scuttler, but they're just like, no, we can't contest anymore. We are too far behind. They just seem to be giving up. And with Nemo, that hook was a narrow miss, but you gotta be scared, because he has been on point on this Thresh. And I don't think you can ever let him have it again. You can't do it.
Honestly,
it's too good.
Disgusting performance so far. The bot lane for Axiz in general has been excellent this game. Honey, full items on the Jinx. 9, 1, and 7 has been doing the damage, as we're looking at bot lane tower for some reason, for no reason at all, as Axiz will continue this push. Still got a couple minutes on Baron. We'll expect to take down at least one of these inhib towers, as that's a very nice exchange of corruption landing onto Honey, but he cleanses Gale Forces away, so he is fine. But Rascal Jesters are playing a little bit further forward, definitely not going down without a fight.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll just look at Honey. He's full build. He's got the Bloodthirst. He's got the QSS. So and he's just sold his boots for a rapid fire cannon.
Oh my god!
He is maxed out. He's got the Gale Force, so he doesn't need that movement speed. He's happy. And that's just so much that's just so much damage coming out of Jinx. Been involved in 16 out of 17 kills, huge performance, and it's just nothing that they can do. Can RJ? They need to land this poke onto Honey, which to be fair, Soul's been doing a pretty good job at landing these arrows, but they haven't been effective pokes. It's been a lot of damage down, but Honey just heals it back up or resets, because these aren't landing in the fight. They're landing around the fight, around the sieges, and it's just not effective.
Yeah, Honey just has to sort of like blink at a jungle camp or half of a wave, and then all of a sudden his health bar is right back to full. There is still that Ocean Soul possibility for Rascal Jesters. They haven't really had a look in at the past couple of Drakes, but with that one spawning in a minute's time, they could opt for it, as Mega Man is going very far forward. Banshee's popped, wasn't able to take down anyone, as Xenu continues this bot lane split push. The Baron will be falling away in 15 seconds, and the fact that Rascal Jesters haven't conceded an inhib or an inhib tower is going to be feeling very nice to them. But if they lose the fight to Axiz very soon, it's not going to matter a damn.
It's absolutely not, and we're just sort of looking for how can Axiz win. They need to try and obviously get onto Honey, but it becomes harder and harder. They need someone to go on a sort of stealth mission to get a flank ward down, just any ward, so that Recap can try and... Ooh, not even close.
That's very scary. That the LeBlanc into Super Mega Death Rocket combo is very disgusting, as we've seen numerous times this game. And Hoglet, well, Rascal Jesters can't get anywhere near, so he's going to take away this Drake and actually put Axiz on Ocean Soul point.
We have to wait another 5 minutes. I'm going to be very disappointed in these teams. Just because at this point you're kind of gonna have to go for a Hail Mary. But this reset opportunity has come through from for Rascal Jesters. They can catch Axiz resetting and push in, and they only need one ward. They just need to dump a bunch of wards into their own jungle and hope one survives. One that can provide a good teleport flank for recap, so he can maybe sneak in, force as many of these QSS, these cleanse effects as possible on Honey, and then hopefully leave it open for Soul to get the finishing blow. But the miss on the Chains of Corruption is just so much. It's just unfortunate. As now all the pent up excitement, they're looking for it now. They're looking for something to happen.
And
it happens.
It's 40 minutes into the game. It's only one fight for Rascal Jesters and they win. That's the crazy thing. They've been behind basically the entire game. They've been outscaled for what feels like 20 minutes, but crucially, Axiz, they haven't pulled the final trigger yet. They haven't delivered that death knell, that death blow. This Baron, the third of the game, could potentially be that objective that really blows open the game, but Rascal Jesters have done a very good job so far of turtling in their base, only coming out when they need to, and just surviving.
Yeah, and we're getting to that, and as you say, we're getting to the point where death time is just so long that it doesn't matter about the gold or anything else. Everyone's approaching 6 items, so champion scaling is of course in the side of Axiz. The Jinx, the LeBlanc just gonna do so much damage, but if you win one fight as Rascal Justice, yeah, you should have more than enough time to push for win if it's a convincing enough team fight. However, it's just a matter of can you get that team fight.
Oh, those are some malicious signals being laid down by Mega Min. But again, neither team really wants to overstep, make that one mistake that would lose them the game. Soul with a very nice piercing arrow. But again, like you were talking about, Honey can just heal it up. There's no way to make the poke stick onto this Jinx. Baron is now live. Both teams contesting for mid lane priority as of now.
Oh, and there's the hook.
Oh, that's the hook, landing immediately onto Soul. Massive play from them. Honey as Gale forcing back, manages to flash away. Recap doesn't get the engage onto the Jinx, so she can just pile out the damage. The tanks in the front line from Axiz are doing their job, as is Mega Man, dropping the DPS onto the Lissandra's head. Here comes Honey. He has shrunk the health bars of Rascal Jesters, and Axiz are going to look to push through and take this game.
Sacred cutting the wave means that there's not going to be a little bit, but they've stopped this back onto Hakamaka, and they've got a wave in the top lane. It doesn't matter. That is going to be an easy victory for Axiz after a grueling 42-minute game. They find the team fight off a beautiful hook from Nemo. He pays with his life, but he's winning this game for Axiz.
Falls down into the Guardian Angel Secret. Can't do anything on the Fountain, but maybe give over one more kill as Honey is laying down the rockets. Destroys this Nexus with impunity, and Axiz get the upset victory over Rascal Jesters.
It's a huge scalp to take. Rascal Jesters was sitting at, I think, 6-1 after their win against Burning Core. It's a 6-2 now. They are in a very, very select company of people who have beaten the Jesters, and they did, in fact, make them live up to the name because they looked like clowns in those fights at the very least. Because absolutely disgusting performance from the bot lane. So have to say,
ridiculous. Obviously, Honey was doing so much damage that game, but we talked about him a little bit on cast. Nema, every single hook landing in a team fight was absolutely massive. And it just managed to snowball them to victory. Picking out Soul from the middle of a crowd twice in team fights was absolutely crucial. And meant that they were able to take this upset win.
Yeah, absolutely. Just crucial hooks, immaculate thresh play. Great setup for his team, and there were a lot of fights where it was a team effort. Like Mega Man wasn't slouching on the damage either. There were times where Honey was just completely isolated out of the fight, and Megumin still being able to punch in decent amount of damage. And of course, props to Rascal Jester. They fought very well on it with a team comp that, honestly, with that sort of lead that got handed over, should have been rolled. But huge props. Like, we saw that one fight where 9k damage out of a Lissandra is just disgusting.
That was very normal. That was very normal.
Absolutely lived up to the hype.
Like you said, if that was a lesser team, I think this is a 25-minute game. Because the lead that Axiz did get early on should have been snowballed. But this is why it was our game of the week, everyone. Because these are both teams that will just like play it out. They will go for the throat, and they won't give up at any point. And I think that's maybe if Rascal Jesters, they weren't able to pull out the win today, but I still think you're proud of this performance, given how long you were able to survive with a composition that really had no business doing so.
Yeah, they managed to hold on very well. They did have pretty strong wave clear. They were able to thwart a lot of the attempts to push advantages, especially with the Barons. They held out on Baron sieges quite well. So you lost. It's unfortunate, but you have that buffer. You had that lead, and now you can just sort of sit back and go, all right, well, we lost. We can learn from that. Losers improve. All that.
Losers improve. I think we're going to be going to a short break now, if I'm correct, and then we're going to be breaking down the game a little bit more after. Manic day today. I'll see you in a few. Welcome back, everyone, after our match of the week where Axiz were able to get that upset victory against Rascal Jesters. Phenomenal performance by both teams, which is something I don't see anywhere near enough when covering the LJL. But it really was an exceptional performance by both teams in a lot of ways. But there are a couple players I think that you wanted to highlight, Mabinogi.
So we have talked. I mean, we in the previous bit before the break, we sung the praises. We sung the praises of Honey and Nema. They of course stood out very well. So I'm going to be a bit of a pessimist right now and just sort of talk about more so picks rather than the players themselves, because the players actually performed very well. for what they had. The Lissandra, the Na, they played their role as best they could, but in the end, the picks just aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Lissandra was a screwball in the sense that now you're stuck with Karma support, and that didn't really provide anything. And Na was just not useful at all in the entire game. It almost got a solo kill and then didn't do a damn thing. The ults, they did their best, but unreliable, cannot chase the Jinx. If you'd had a Camille in there, it wouldn't matter how many cleanses she had, and well, she had 2. But you just lock her in. You blow her up with your ridiculous Q damage. You have a bit more extra scaling on your side. A Camille would have been a much healthier pick. A giant frontliner, something like a Malphite. You just point, click, it's kaboom.
It's
something more reliable is necessary, and the unreliability of the draft is what screwed over the Rascal Jesters.
Yeah. Because Dive is good here. Dive is good into Jinx. She really doesn't like people jumping on top of her, but it felt like you mentioned there, that there wasn't the priority on the picks that needed to be. If you play this game out with a Camille, exactly, there's no way that Jinx can even play the game. But it was nice to see also as well the sort of interacting different styles in the ADCs that picked. And the ADCs that are sort of in the meta right now, because you've got stuff like the Jinx and Aphelios that are all about these sort of like hyper carry, getting to a lot of items and putting out a bunch of damage. And then you got stuff like the Varus, which is a bit more geared towards the early game and spiking early. But the crazy thing was even though Rascal Jesters had a lot of these champions that were spiking early, the game went on for 40 minutes, so they were able to carry it through into the later stages.
Yeah, and it was actually very... And yeah, again, we have to credit the players of Rascal Jester because they had that early game composition. They actually fell behind early due to quite a few mistakes of Xin Zhao.
Interesting behavior.
Interesting behavior. Small mechanical mistakes like that top lane almost kill that led into a beautiful snipe from Honey. And it just small things gave a small advantage over to what's its face? Axiz.
And, the Narwhals.
And then it gave it over to Axiz. They were able to walk on. They were able to sort of use that lead to keep the early game strength of Rascal Jesters at bay, and it led into that 40-minute slugfest, which came out on top with the Jinx, with the hooks from the Thresh, and it just one team fight at that point.
Yeah, it was absolute banger game. Absolute banger day, actually. I feel like a lot of the games that we've had today have been very good. Unfortunately, though, we've had all late. We are done for today with the LJL, and the games were so good that we thought that we're not going to give any to you next week. We're going to have a super week the week after. So in 14 days' time, we are going to have our next set of games, and then we're going to have another one on the Sunday. So you miss out a little bit next week, but you get a big reward in a couple of weeks' time. That's going to be absolute madness.
Should be fun.
Should be fun. And I hope to see you there. This is Middlecart and Mabinogi signing off from the LJLOU. Have a good one.